and it's happened to me in the past. And so I learned this lesson the hard way. When installing those spikes, it's not uncommon for one of those spikes to go right through an irrigation pipe. And sometimes you don't feel it. It feels like you hit a rock. So what do you do when you hit a rock? You slam it even harder. It's not what you're supposed to do. Hi everyone, Phil here with Sarros Landscaping, and I want you to check out this side job we just did behind me and take a look and notice the free-form organic curve that we got around it. Nah, I'm just kidding you. Take a look at the real job we did, which is this artificial turf playground project for a daycare facility. This project is roughly about just under 3,000 square feet, and we set 4 posts in there. Those 4 posts are going to support a sunshade. I'm trying to get this suds. Sorry, it's shaky, but that gives you an idea of what that artificial turf looks like. Prior to that, this turf was very much looked more like this dirt patch here than anything else. There was a big rubber mat that they had down, kind of as a temporary fix, but we re-poured both landings at the doors. So if you can see that concrete landing at that door, and again at that door down there, you see that? We re-poured that. So about 6 or 7 miles down the road, we did another project, which I'm going to show you next. In the future, in the near future, we're going to be coming back. They're getting rid of this rubber mulch landing underneath, and so this is going to be our next project. So in total, this will represent the 4th project we've done for this same educational slash daycare facility. And in just a moment, I'll show you the next job that we did for them. So artificial turf right back here. One thing to note on this artificial turf is one problem we had, and this was actually a ton of work. These irrigation boxes that you see down here, see these irrigation boxes? There's 5 or 6 valves inside of those irrigation boxes. Those used to be located right inside the fence here. And we thought about working the turf around irrigation boxes, but whenever possible, I recommend don't put turf around valves if you can avoid it at all, because eventually valves leak. So do sprinkler heads. In fact, in this project, we took out here, we relocated every single sprinkler pipe, and you can see there's a lot because on that wall behind me, right next to the door, you can see that there's a couple of different timers and controllers. One controls right back here, you'll see a fake rock. One controls a pump that helps pump the water because they have low pressure here at this facility. So moving these valves, making sure all the wiring, so zone 1 continue to be zone 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and so forth. We didn't want to end up doing the wiring and then all of a sudden what the controller says zone 1 is really zone 3. So we kind of had to map it all out. We moved every single irrigation pipe, and there were a ton, to outside of the perimeter of this fence in order to make sure that if they ever have to work on this, if anyone ever sticks something inside of this, and especially while we're installing the turf, you think about it, when we install this turf, we're installing 7-inch spikes. And it's happened to me in the past. And so I learned this lesson the hard way. When installing those spikes, it's not uncommon for one of those spikes to go right through an irrigation pipe. And sometimes you don't feel it. It feels like you hit a rock. So what do you do when you hit a rock? You slam it even harder. It's not what you're supposed to do, but sometimes that happens. And then a month, 2 months pass, and they go to flip on the irrigation system, and we got a huge water leak. And turns out that it's a spike. So whenever possible, we try to relocate all of the irrigation piping, all of the irrigation valves to outside of the project area. Some of you might be asking, yeah, but turf gets hot. Don't you want to water it? Well, in certain situations, we may want to water the turf in pet applications, or being that this is summertime, this facility gets used, here, let me show you at least the turf. Being that it's summertime, this facility gets used far more during the fall, winter, and spring months, so it wasn't necessary to irrigate it necessarily through the summertime. We could leave heads around the perimeter, but it's always good to get that stuff out of the way, because anything that's going to be serviceable, you don't want to have to go back at any point in the future, peel back the turf, service the valve, have to dig holes, and then have to try to have maybe an irrigation subcontractor come out and reinstall the turf, or get called out to reinstall the turf yourself when it's much easier just to do it right from the beginning. So next job up, I'll show you the one we did a few miles down the road. Thanks.